All right. So if you want to make serious money in this game, in the transportation industry, Uber, Lyft, whatever it is, I can show you a step by step guide. I can tell you a step by step guide, and I pretty much guarantee you're going to make good money. Or at least in my experience, it was good money. So I'll tell you all about my story, and then I'll show you exactly what you're going to need to do uh, to really, I guess, maximize your earnings, so to speak. So I started doing Uber Black, went from regular Uber to Uber Black um, during the pandemic, actually, which was a good thing. There was hardly nobody driving. Um, I ended up buying a 2021 Yukon Denali XL. And I'm not saying that you're going to have to get into Uber Black or Uber Black SUV or Premier or whatever. Just follow the story, and then we'll get to how you're going to do this. So anyway, started doing Uber Black, and bought the 2021 Yukon Denali, and I bought that. I want to say it was, oh gosh, when was it? Probably late 2020. So anyway, got into Uber Black, and I quickly was approached by clients constantly wanting to do private work. And I don't know what it's like in your state, but in the DC and Maryland, and in the Maryland area, you have to get what's called a public service commission license. You have to get for hire tags, which are either limo tags or what are commonly called B tags. You basically, you don't have to have an LLC, and I mean that's something you could talk to a lawyer about. But you go through all these steps, and you get these things, and and you basically go private. And that's what I would recommend to people: is go through and actually look at what it's going to cost, you, and what it's going to take to go private. And by all means, if I had to do this all over again, I would not do Uber Black. I would not even get involved with Uber Black SUV or Uber Black. There's too many people on the market. There's too many people that are doing it. It's great money, don't get me wrong. But for me, it didn't work out simply because, and as many of you know, um, I have a young daughter, so I have a lot of things going on with her that I enjoy doing. She has extracurricular activities like soccer, swimming, all that kind of stuff. And I really just don't have the time to do Uber Black. When you do Uber Black, your clients want you, you know, pretty much, I don't want to say at their beck and call, but you're at their beck and call. If they need to go to the airport or if they need you on an hourly job, you're always going to be there. But I do think where the money lies is in between. So go ahead and watch this video. Let me know what you think. If you have questions, by all means, drop them in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them. Um, you know, and I'm going to walk you through step by step on what you're going to need to do to go private legally, or at least get there, get you rolling, get the ball rolling, so you can figure out how to legally do it in your state. Because that's the big thing. Every state's going to have different laws. They're going to have different rules, and these rules and laws may vary from state to state, county to county, city to city. So we're going to go through it step by step. I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do, and hopefully this can get you off and running and earning a lot more money. Okay, I'm back. I am, it's Sunday afternoon. I'm doing a bunch of laundry for my daughter, and my wife's trying to get everything done. But the first thing you're going to want to do is grab yourself a notebook, a piece of paper, pen, and start jotting things down. Because the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to have to decide if you want to be an LLC, a sole proprietor, or an S Corp. So when I did it, I started out as a sole proprietor because I just thought, okay, this isn't really going to go anywhere. I'll do Uber Black. How much different can it be from regular Uber? It's a lot different. So anyway, long story short, starting off as a sole proprietor, in my opinion, is probably okay. If you have a lot of assets or you want to talk, a lot of, if you're liquid, whatever it may be, I would talk to a lawyer. After I got started and I talked to my attorney, he was like, yeah, you really want to set up an LLC and start separating everything. So we went ahead and did that. But the first thing you want to do, decide what you're going to do. Sole proprietor, LLC, S Corp, get all that set up. Go online with Google and start to research what your state requirements are for a limo company or a private car company or a taxi cab company. I don't think you want to be a taxi cab company. A lot of that involves, buying medallions and things like that. But being a limousine company or a for hire company, like I was and like a lot of Uber Black drivers are, that's perfect. I'll tell you what the requirements here in the state of Maryland were, and and what Uber requires may vary from state to state. So if you're curious about what Uber requires, go onto Uber's website, do a search on Google, do a search on ChatGPT, and find out exactly what Uber requires for private for hire for Uber Black SUV. One thing you might want to be real careful of is if you go and get for hire tags, you might not be allowed on the regular Uber or regular Lyft platform anymore. You might want to look into that. Some states, you don't really have to do much. Some states and jurisdictions, you just have to show that you have the correct insurance. And we're going to get into the insurance requirements for all this, the liability coverage and the commercial for hire insurance. We're going to get into that in a minute. But that's the first thing I would do is I would call your state. And here in Maryland, it's the Public Service Commission, Department of For Hire Vehicles in Virginia and in Washington, D.C. And I would write down a list of exactly what they require in order to do for hire work and start there. The second thing I would do after that is start calling insurance companies. You're going to get a wide range of just how much money it costs to do for hire work. When I started with, who was it? Oh, I actually started with MAIF, Maryland Auto Insurance Fund, because I had no idea. Everybody I was calling was saying, no, we're not insuring anybody right now. You got to have this, you got to have that. So I went ahead and I went with MAIF for 1 year. And then I realized, wait a minute, I had commercial auto liability insurance a while ago now this was a while ago when I started with Uber and Lyft years ago. Geico actually made me get a commercial for hire license or a commercial for hire insurance policy. So when I started shopping around again after I was with MAIF for a year, because MAIF, if I remember correctly, I was paying like $8,500 a year. It was expensive or something like that, close to that. So when I started calling around and I got on the phone with somebody who I was referred to from, I had made a friend and he referred me to it and referred me to a company. And I called them. He was like, yeah, you need 3 years of some kind of law statement showing that you've never had an issue, an accident, anything like that. So I sent him the Geico stuff and I sent him the stuff from MAIF. He was like, yeah, you're golden. And my insurance went from, let's say, $800 a year down to $326 or $800 a month down to $326 a month. That's a huge, huge difference. So that's the second thing you want to do is you want to call around and call every insurance company you can think of. And if they say, no, we don't offer commercial for hire insurance, just say, okay, call back another day, ask for somebody different, talk to a different department. Because most places offer it. They just don't really want to get into it, or whoever you're talking to may not want to get into it. They may not. It may require somebody who has a special license, depending on your state, all kinds of different things. So definitely call around and get a huge list of people you can get insurance through. Back to the licensing, It's going to depend on your state. Some of them, they're going to require you to get a chauffeur's license. Here in Maryland, it's a chauffeur's license or a for hire license. You might be required to get a business license, a tax license. One thing you do not want to mess around with are airports. Okay, here in Maryland, the airports aren't all that bad, but when you get into DC, like Reagan and IAD, they're part of Washington Airport Authority. And let me tell you, they're sticklers. They will hit you with a huge fine. They'll tear your tags right off your car. They'll tow it, and you'll be screwed. It's very, very expensive. So always call the airport. Go online to Google, go online to ChatGPT. If you can't find it there, which you'll find it most likely, and you're just going to want to use keywords like airport for hire authority, taxi cab licenses and permits for the airport, for whatever airport you need. And you should be able to find a phone number. If you can't, go up to your local lot for Uber and Lyft and at the airport and look for a black car driver, and they'll usually have their permit in their front window, stuck on their tag somewhere, hanging like a placard hanging from their mirror. Or just walk up and ask them. Some of them are pretty cool. They'll talk to you. Some of them really aren't. They'll be like, yeah, you just got to figure it out for yourself. Talk to a couple different guys. I'm sure you'll find somebody who tell you exactly what to do. Generally, you're going to get like I said, the commercial for hire liability insurance. Most of the time, it's $1 million in coverage, which can be expensive. But this varies state to state. When you contact the state, whether it's your limousine people, your public service commission, like they have here in Maryland, they're going to want to send you out a packet. You're going to give them your address. They're going to mail you out a packet. It's probably going to have all that information, what the bare minimums for insurance are. Make sure you get enough to cover your own butt. So if something horrible happens, at least you're covered and you don't have to worry about a lot of things. You're probably going to have to get a state inspection the same way you do with Uber and Lyft here in Maryland. You got to get a state inspection every 2 years. Make sure your tires are right, your brakes are right, everything else on your car is right. It's not a big deal. It's pretty much the same. Some states it may be a little bit different. Most states, I think it's probably the same. But here's what your goal basically is going to be. Your goal is you have a lot of people coming into your car, and you're going to have a lot of opportunities to get these people as clients, to take them to the airports, to take them out to dinner at night, to run them a long distance if they, maybe they just, they're going somewhere, it's too expensive to fly, but, they can get you to drive them there. Or they may not want to fly. A lot of people don't like to fly. And trains are a pain in the butt. Let's be honest. Trains are almost as expensive as planes. So a lot of times people are willing to pay somebody a decent amount to drive them, and you have all these people in your car, all these people. So use that. There are plenty of places online. Wix being one of them. Yes, Wix, the website builder. If you go to Google, I have a splinter in my thumb. Or I cut it. I can't see. Go to Google and type in Wix QR code. Okay? It will take you, let me check real quick. Let me see. Maybe I'll drop this in the description. Wix QR code. Free QR code generator. Make your very own QR code. All right. Yeah. So you can make a QR code right on Wix. It was the first thing that popped up on Google. I just typed in Wix QR code. Okay, it was the very first thing that came up. And you're going to, if you scroll down the screen, you'll see select content type. It has text, URL, phone, SSM, vCard, image, PDF, Wi-Fi, email, so on. You add your text, and where it says enter content or enter text, you add your text there, okay, and you generate the QR code. It is as simple as downloading the QR code. You can even snap a picture of the QR code, and then keep that on your phone, so that when you have somebody that asks, hey, do you do private work? Do you do this? And you have everything set up, you can say to them, as a matter of fact, I do. Here's my QR code. Go ahead and snap that and store my contact data in your phone, and bam, you've got a new client. They may only call you once a year, once a month, once every 2 months, but it's an extra $150 sometimes. Sometimes it's little amounts, 50, $60. But the difference is you're getting all the money. You're not splitting that with Uber or Lyft. It's your money. They're your client. And it sounds silly, but over time, you're going to build up this clientele. You're going to have a book of maybe 50 to 100 people who call you periodically, or maybe on a regular basis, to go from point A to point B, whatever it may be, and you are keeping 100% of the money. But as I said before, get everything legal. Do it right. You may not want to do it. Okay? You may not want to put that much effort into it. So go ahead and check that out. I'll be back in 1 second. All right, so I'm back. But yeah, so anyway, make a list of the things you need to do. Do you want to be an LLC? Do you want to be a sole proprietorship? Talk to a lawyer. Ask them what the best route to go, which I'm sure they're probably going to say do an LLC, do an S corp, something like that. But you can get rolling with a simple sole proprietorship. Make a list of insurance companies, call them, find out what kind of licenses you need, any permits, special vehicle registrations, things like that. And then double check and make sure that the vehicle registration isn't going to preclude you from still being able to drive Uber and Lyft. Okay, there's sometimes where the vehicle registration is going to require you to open up an Uber Black account. And if you do not have a black on black SUV that qualifies, or a black on black car that qualifies for Uber Black, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, what did this guy tell me to do? I can't drive Uber anymore. So get that in line and make sure, double check. It's not hard. It's going to take 1 day of effort to do all this. Call the insurance companies, call your state's public service commission or for hire, Department of For Hire vehicles, things like that. Almost every state has one. If the state doesn't have one, it might be in your county, it might be in your city. Call them, find out exactly what kind of insurance you need, what kind of licenses you need, what kind of registration they require, if any, and then get the ball rolling. Make that list of insurance companies, call them, find out who the cheapest is for the most amount of coverage you can afford, and then start doing your private rides. You're going to make a lot more money. You're going to keep all the money. You don't have to share it with Uber and Lyft, and you're going to build a book slowly over time. It might take you a year, but you're going to build an awesome book, 50, 100 clients that call you on a regular basis, and you're going to watch your income go way, way up. All right, that being said, go ahead and give me a shout if you have any questions. Like I said, I'm happy to answer any questions. I can try and do research if somebody doesn't know how to find their for hire department in their state. At least try and get you help as far as getting the ball rolling. And I hope something like this works out for people and you make lots of money. Talk to you in the next video.